Welcome home, Raiders. Yes, I just came from a block party, as you can tell from my shirt if you're watching the video. Tonight, we are going to be talking a lot about the story of WoW, and I'm sure some other things, but mainly, probably Sourfang. That's what I've got. As Convert to Raid presents the Battlenet News! Friends, and welcome to the show. From the Battlenet News broadcast bunker in Minneapolis, Minnesota, today is August 7th, 2018, and it is now 9:16 in the PM Central Time. Thanks for joining us from all around the Blizzard universe, and hello, Pat Krane here. And, of course, the players are here, and they made fun of my shirt earlier, which is a thing. Okay, from... Lagging Balls in Battlenet Sports. We will start with Thyst. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Oh, so great. How's your shirt? Are all the buttons done up?
Oh boy, I tell you. All right, enough of you. All right, get out of there. And also from Overwatch League Daily, the show all about Overwatch League and its daily. It's John Horstmann. Hello, John.
Oh, man, it's been so long. I forgot I even do that show. Pat, great job on the shirt. You just come from a block party or something?
I did. I came from a block party. I
could tell by the shirt.
A couple of libations down by the beach, apparently. Down by the shore. I don't know. What do we have here? I don't know. So welcome, guys. Welcome, Twitch chat. Welcome, you guys all around the world of Warcraft and beyond. We have a lot to talk about tonight. A lot of stuff has kind of dropped in the last week. Last week, we talked all about the story of WoW because we left off with the Sylvanas cinematic, right? I mean, last week was kind of like a big thing where a lot of Horde people were really upset. So last week we heard about a lot of Horde people
still upset, by the way.
Being really upset. You're a Horde person?
I am. I've been Horde. I had a little stint on Alliance, I think for like Cataclysm and the first patch of Mists of Pandaria. I've been Horde ever since. Okay. Well, now you're playing on the good side again. As we all know, the Horde side is the good side. The Horde, I mean, it's not. It's not. Not anymore. I hate it right now. Right. I hate being on the Horde. Katie's like calling me every day. She's like, when can we switch to Alliance? I want to go back to Alliance. I hate Sylvanas. I'm like, I know, me too. I get it. I'm with you, wife. I love you. It might change. It might change this expansion. Wow. All right. And we can talk about more about that as we get into the story of WoW and how it's evolved. And be warned, we will talk about spoilers here. We're not gonna really shortchange it this time around because we are coming up to an expansion. We expect that by this time you kind of know what's happening, and we have some new stories to tell or to talk about anyway. We had a couple of novellas drop, and we had the new cinematic Old Soldier as well, which is all really cool stuff. And then we had this week we had new stuff happen in game as well. It's kind of tough not to talk about it. Kind of tough not to give out spoilers. Kind of tough. We have to talk about it because next week, 1 week from today, more stuff is going to happen. We're going to actually have a Battle for Azeroth, BIFA, as I call it, or BIFA.
Buffa is my favorite. Befuddled by Buffa. Yeah.
That drops next week on Tuesday, and we are at the point of the show where we're like, I was talking to Thyst today, and I'm like, do you think we should maybe postpone until Wednesday? Actually, she was like, can't we postpone until Wednesday?
I mean, no offense, but
that was last night. You were saying that while we were playing Overwatch, and then and today I'm like, yeah, probably should.
Probably. It's just because, I mean, everybody's going to be playing WoW, and nobody's going to want to watch anything.
Well, and we're going to want to play it.
I mean, yeah, I was skirting around that to sound like, I was all in.
It's all about everybody else. No, it's about us. We really want to play.
And we have 180 pages of homework to read. Thanks, Blizz.
That's true.
Jeez.
That's true.
Give me that audio book format at least. Good Lord.
I know. I was thinking about emailing some people that I know over at Blizzard. Not that I know a lot of people or anything like that, but just anybody. Like, it would be the wrong.
The Pat Krane Blizzard Rolodex.
It would be the wrong guy for sure. But I would just like, so what's going on? No audiobook? Do you need an audiobook? I can put together an audiobook for you.
Jeez, guys, it only took 3 hours to get through. You can do it.
I don't know. 3 hours is a long
use that
time.
Speed reading app that only displays one word at a time and you don't retain any of it.
Honestly, I kept rereading lines and screenshotting parts and squealing at parts because it's so good, you guys.
But you only read one of them.
Yeah, I know.
You didn't read both of them. The only
side that matters, Pat.
You didn't read both of them. Both sides.
Do I have to?
Before we actually get into all of the stuff, because I know that we will have a lot to say once we get into the actual story part of things. I want to kind of catch up with you guys, especially you, John, because I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, why don't you guys invite me to your Overwatch parties?
Well, because you do the Overwatch Daily show and you're working every day. And then you go to bed at 5 a.m. or something like that.
My job is playing and talking about video games.
So what have you been up to lately?
So, pretty cool. I'll keep it really quick because I just want to talk about BFA spoilers, if I'm being honest. But Overwatch League Daily, of course, has been a blast. And then I was given the opportunity to host the Overwatch Contenders South America and Chinese English broadcasts, which
that's awesome.
And then I've also been directing all the content for Broadcast GG around those two regions, and then doing the social media for them as well. So that's been a ton of fun.
That's great.
Getting really good at Photoshop now. So if you remember, what was the first thing I Photoshopped of you back in the day? Like Patlanta.
Oh,
Patlanta something where I Photoshopped you on.
Yeah. It was something.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah.
Photoshopped you on Leia with a box of Fruit Loops.
It was pretty good. It was pretty funny.
That was the beginning of a long and Fruit Loop-based friendship.
Okay. All right.
Aww.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you're having a good time with that. And right now, as it turns out, Contenders playoffs are happening. And so that's a pretty exciting time, right?
Yeah, we're starting up this week. I mean, we've got so much. We've got a ton of original content pieces and stuff scheduled up and ready to go. So I'm
that's
really
awesome.
Excited for people to see it. So if you are at all interested in following the tier 2 and tier 3 scene of Overwatch, follow Broadcast GG, twitch.tv/broadcastgg, or on Twitter, broadcast.gg. You got to spell it out, DOTGG. It's really cool. That's the only plug I'll do today. But yeah, so.
Hey, feel free to plug away. That's fine. It's totally cool. By the way, speaking of esports real quick, we are not going to have a Battlenet Sports this week because there are so many sports that are on break right now. Because, Overwatch League, we don't have the pro players out this week. We have the Contenders and stuff like that, which is great. And I wanted that, and that's why I wanted to plug Contenders right now, especially if you're into Overwatch League. But Hearthstone really is waiting for the new expansion to hit, and that's going to be hitting this weekend in Germany, and HGC is off this week. We do have some StarCraft 2 stuff, so stick around if you want to hear a little bit about what's happening in the StarCraft 2 world, because it was kind of a big deal, GSL versus the world. very, very cool. And I'll have a little snippet after we get through all the WoW stuff. I'll make sure to do that stuff first. We always try to do the WoW stuff first.
First.
Thyst,
Hi.
what have you been doing around town and in game stuff?
Whoa, around town.
I don't go into town, Pat. I mean,
No, you've been basically camping Alliance, right?
oh God, yes. Oh yes. Oh, so much. I have been chilling on Darkshore, doing the world PvP, and it has been wonderful. I've been hunting bounties. I've been trying to get a bounty on my head, which I achieved the other night, which was fantastic. I've been farming airdrops, even though I don't technically need to, because none of the gear in there is, beneficial to me at this point in time. But, just the thrill of camping the airdrop before the Alliance can get it. I mean, it's really satisfying in a way that I've never felt before.
Well, hold on a sec. So I was hanging out with you last night, and we were
I
hanging
remember
out
that.
in Darkshore, and I was on my Horde tune, and actually started a new Horde tune. I'm not so sure that I'm happy about it, but
Oh, you're gonna love it.
I started it. Yeah, so I boosted a tune over on the Horde side,
Kind
and
of tune, Pat.
and it's a rogue.
What?
It's a rogue, and because I was like, if I'm gonna hang
It's
out
just
with
purely for ganking. Yeah,
if I'm gonna hang out with Thyst at all, I know that she likes to PvP, and I'm
Sure
like,
do.
well, I should check it out. And if I'm gonna PvP, I might as well be a rogue because those guys have a ton of cooldowns, as it turns out. They have a
They
ton
really do.
of cooldowns that you need to know what the hell they are. And
You got some pretty big nerfs today, though, man.
well, let's hope that means that there are fewer buttons that I need to know what they are.
Nope, just 4% nerfs across the board. Actually,
All right. Well, in that case, I'm sure that won't affect me at all because I don't know how to rogue at all. But
who does?
So
They don't either.
So Thyst, you and I were hanging out last night, and you were like, "Oh yeah, let's farm some crates and stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Trying to help gear you up, Pat.
And so we were farming crates, and it was super, super easy because there were only like 3 Alliance, and there were 30 Horde, all roosting on one of the buildings near at the place where you go over to Teldrassil.
We certainly are
whatever that
quite
town is.
formidable, Pat.
It was
They can't mess with us, and that's like the only problem.
Yeah.
Because like we're so good at it that we just drive them away eventually, and then they don't come back.
That's not it. That's not it. There's so many that it doesn't matter.
That's true. But it is a large beach, Pat.
It's a very large beach.
It's a big beach.
And there were a couple of dudes on the Alliance side that had bounties out on their head as well, and that was kind of interesting.
Certainly did. Yeah.
And
I love it when the Alliance tries to fight back. I love a fair fight. And, I spent the afternoon today doing world PvP in a different spot because of stuff that happened. Oh, yes.
Hellfire Peninsula, getting those 55s. Seems like a Thyst thing to do there.
Right.
Oh, excuse me. I do not prey upon lobies.
Getting those
unless they
lobby
piss me
noobs.
Enjoying war mode, you losers.
Right. There you go.
Sorry, I get really excited about that.
And I know that you have stories about all this. Just go ahead and tell people where were you today?
So, as soon as you finish the new scenario today, at least on the Horde, you get transported back to Ogar, and I was like, I kind of want to see what's going on over in Undercity. So as a mage, I ported back over there, and you get ported outside of sort of like the ruins of Lordaeron, kind of where Brill sort of was. And so most of the ground is covered in blight now, and it'll kill you.
Right.
It doesn't kill you. Well, it doesn't kill me instantly. I don't know if it's just because I'm OP.
Because you're awesome. Yeah.
But you'll just die. So what I was doing and a bunch of other of us were doing, we would perch on like the ruins. We'd perch on what's left of the Zeppelin towers. We would hang around Brill And of course, like, Curious Alliance want to come over and gloat or take a look at the Blight or, try to kill us for some reason. And so that's when I whipped out my Netomatic 5000. And my Netomatic 5000 has proven to be like the best item in game.
So for those guys that don't know what it is it and what does it do?
Netomatic, I think it costs like 25 honor points. You can get it in Dalaran. And it's basically, you remember that shell that you could get that would like boot people off their flying mount?
Sure.
It's like that. It's got some incredible range. And as long as you're like within the line of sight and your target isn't too far away, you can just like knock people off of their mounts and it nets them so they can't do anything until they hit the ground. Sometimes they die when they hit the ground. Sometimes they don't. They usually don't. But since there's Blight on the ground, they just die. So I had a really great day just like shooting lions out of the air and then watching them die in the Blight.
Sure. All right.
Good times, man.
All right. Hey, by the way, if you are going into war mode and going into Darkshore, into the Darkshore area, we figured something out last night. Thyst and I did, because I was a boosted toon, so I didn't have to go through the chapter 1 of all of the things, but apparently I did have to go through chapter 2 so that I wasn't phased with everybody else that was in the PvP group. So if you're looking for, group for PvP stuff in Darkshore specifically, you have to do all of the quests before you can actually join others.
That's right.
It will phase you, which is kind of upsetting.
Phase is the ways of the BFAs, guys. Lots of phases, lots of things going on right there. You just be up to date. Just don't skip a day, don't skip an hour, don't skip a scenario. Play constantly. Neglect your work, neglect school, neglect eating healthily, and then just play World of Warcraft.
Pretty much.
I'm playing for next
Pretty
week.
Pretty much that. Okay, so just a couple of things before we get into the news part of the news, and then we'll be there. Like I said, no sports this week. We'll have a little bit at the end of this show just to make up for that. But next week we will have CTR, and we're gonna shoot for Wednesday night, so it'll be a day late because we're all gonna want to try to get that experience of being in it. All killing the same mobs.
Think you get to 120 by then?
No. And then also, I wanted to let you know about something that's happening this Thursday, which is the CTR Guild Town Hall. This is where we talk about guild stuff. And if you're not in the guild, you don't have to be there or anything like that. You can join us if you want. It'll be recorded if you are very interested in all things CTR Guild, or if you're just kind of, interested in hanging out with us. That's
Do we get to look at you, Pat?
Sure.
Nice,
I'll be there. I will not be wearing this the shirt. I will not be wearing this particular shirt.
Oh,
probably. I usually like to wear shirts. So,
ooh, but there's a maybe, right? Everybody tune in.
So that'll be happening on Thursday at 9 p.m. So, and again, for the CTR show next week, it'll be 9 p.m. Central. Everything's 9 p.m. Central. Just think of it that way. So the guild stuff on Thursday, 9 p.m. Central. The show next week on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central. Just like usual. So there you have it. So now we will go on to the news, and there's a lot. And we start with World of Warcraft, as always.
A clever strategy.
Oops, that was a little low. I'm sorry. Let's do this.
A clever strategy.
That's so much better. Okay. We have a lot to talk about. Because last week we left with Sylvanas, and spoiler alert, she burns the tree. She burned it. She burns the tree.
Just a random tree.
Just a
regular old tree.
Yep, random tree. And we talked
Gnome Christmas tree, actually.
Right.
Really ticked off those gnomes.
And so I was talking last week to Gizmo and to Jocelyn, and Jocelyn was a little miffed. She's a regular Horde player, and she didn't like it. She didn't like it much. She said a lot.
Both, Joss.
She said a lot more privately in DMs in Discord than she did on the show, but she was not happy. She was not happy. And John, you're not happy.
No, I'm ticked.
Oh boy. All right.
I'm real upset here.
All right.
Sorry.
So
I'm yelling a lot.
So no, it's fine. It's fine. So where do you come at with this whole thing? Obviously you're upset. But what did you think when you first saw that thing? That cinematic?
Let me sum up my feelings in one thing. So I have some problems with this, right? We just got done fighting together against the Legion, coming together, and we already know Anduin is close friends with Bane, and he believes Bane that,
sure,
the Horde didn't betray the Alliance on Argus, right? And so, there's this incredible opportunity for peace and growth and all this stuff, and I love war. I love fighting things in the World of Warcraft and killing things in the World of Warcraft. I want to continue to do that. Not like this, though. Ultimately, the justification comes, we're going to war eventually, so why not war now kind of thing. And I just hate that. I don't want to be a part of a faction who says, war is inevitable, so win now. I'm just not a fan of that. And so, and there's, a lot of people like, well, yeah, Sylvanas is always morally gray. And, Sylvanas isn't the Horde. She's the war chief. She's the war chief. And even, as you read through the novellas and Before the Storm, you notice very quickly on how complacent the Horde is in all this. Or sure, I'm angry, and then they go, but whatever.
Well, and as you find out in and we're going to talk about this more and more. We're going to talk about the two novellas that came out. Elegy and A Good War.
Awful name, though, by the way.
Novellas.
What the heck is a novella?
It's a short novel. It's fine.
It's a zine.
No, it's not. It's the zine of novels.
Have you read the new BFA zines, bro?
It's a buffa zine. Just
buffa.
FYI.
Buffa?
Or FY.
Fine. Fair enough.
So the two novellas or the novel zines came out, Elegy and A Good War, and so they come from the perspectives of the Alliance and the Horde respectively. And A Good War really does kind of focus on Sourfang and Sylvanas and how they deceived people, even their own people, right up until the point where they turned north into Ashenvale, and really tried to keep it a very small group that knew exactly what was going on, because there were so many spies in Orgrimmar and because there was all these other things. I will say that as far as your morally gray thing goes, Taliesin and Evitel, I think it was last week or over the weekend, put out a video, weekly reset, and talked about this whole thing about morally gray and about how morally gray doesn't mean morally right. It doesn't mean right. It doesn't mean wrong. It can be totally wrong for the right reasons or totally right for the wrong reasons. It doesn't really matter. It's just meant to be kind of confusing. So I don't know. It's a thing. Thyst. Hi. I'll switch it over to you and just ask how you feel about the whole Sylvanas thing, because I don't think you really care all that much.
That's not true.
Well, I don't think you have the same emotion as John does. Let me put it that way.
No. I'm going to reference the novella a bunch, just because it answered a lot of questions for me, but when the tree burned last Tuesday, I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people did. I was happy to see that Saurfang wasn't cool with it. And that made me wonder, he obviously didn't know that was going to happen. And if he didn't know that wasn't going to happen, who else didn't know that was happening? And like people were getting upset about Sylvanas being evil. It's like, well, she doesn't have a great track record, guys. Like, I don't know what you're expecting. But in the novella, we find out that it sort of follows Saurfang mostly. And it's sort of like the conception of the War of Thorns and like how Sylvanas and Saurfang sort of came up with the whole thing together. But the important thing to note is that Saurfang didn't know that the tree was going to burn. What the plan was to take Teldrassil for the Horde and eventually take Kalimdor itself. Just, to avoid a lot of, because they know that the war is going to happen. Like, we're already at odds with the Alliance, and just because there's not any war, well, of course, we're
how are we at odds with? We just fought the Legion together.
So as Sylvanas and Saurfang have this back and forth moment where Sylvanas is talking to him about how long can the peace last? Is it a lasting peace, or is it going to be a year? Is it going to be 5 years? Is it going to be 50 years? And the whole thing is that there has been such a deep and divided past between all of the races of Azeroth that I don't think that anybody can really escape it, because the orcs were held captive by humans, and all these other things that have happened throughout history, especially recent history. But
it's that thinking, right? That's the thinking that makes peace so impossible. And not even like not that I'm like, listen, dude, I'm playing World of Warcraft. I'm not walking around trying to like be friends with everybody. It's weird because I have like this emotional attachment of like, I want peace, and I also want to wreck you, Alliance gnome. Like, it's tough, but I just hate the justification for it. I hate like, eventually stuff isn't going to go that way. So let's not, make good choices now. Because eventually we're going to fight anyways, kind of thing. It's like, eventually I'm going to eat that Big Mac, so I'm just never going to diet.
I need to talk to my wife. Now that you bring that up, and I need to talk to her
try
about
that. Yeah, try that.
No more
Let's
salads.
Talk about enabling yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of like therapists out there who are just like slamming their head against their
I'm
wheels.
gonna gain the weight anyway because I wanna. Because I have a bad history with
just gonna eat
McDonald's.
It anyway. We've got a bad history together, like
with fast food and stuff.
Here's the thing: is if the mindset is broken from the beginning, if the mindset is we can't pursue peace now because war comes later, peace will never come. And I hate that line of thinking that we decided.
The only peace is beating him now. So that
not
was
necessarily like wiping out the Alliance, but taking the time now when they're not expecting anything, when we might have the upper hand if we strike sooner, just to at least secure Kalimdor so that we have a safe place to be.
Yeah.
But I understand what you guys
getting attacked all the time by the Alliance.
Well, I understand what you guys are saying, and like it does seem hasty and a little uncalled for, but the thing that throws the whole thing and like a wrench into the whole thing is the Azerite. Like Sylvanas knows what she wants to do with the Azerite, obviously, is to make weapons. So that's what she's assuming that the Alliance is going to do as well. So before they find out the hard way, that's why they're accelerating this.
Yep.
So anyway,
and she does make bad decisions along the way, or at least uninformed decisions or uninformed choices about how she thinks that the Alliance is going to react to attacking the World Tree
scenario.
And so this is all. Remember, guys, this is all before the real story.
Right.
This is all before the story that's going to be. This is all just setting the scene for the expansion that's going to be coming up.
Exactly. So Saurfang's not cool with the tree burning. The tree burning was not what the Horde intended to do. We were going to take Teldrassil. We weren't going to burn everybody alive. I'm not cool with that, but I am cool. Like when Old Soldier came out, it was really amazing because the novellas hadn't dropped yet, and I didn't know how Saurfang was going to react to what had happened with the tree. And I think a lot of, not me personally, but a lot of people who play Horde were a little bit in a free fall because, a lot of people don't agree with this whole tree burning thing. And the fact that Saurfang doesn't believe in that sort of like makes the OG sort of Horde players feel a little bit better because we know the Horde isn't like that, We're painted as savages like that, but we're not really like that.
And they're not really like that. They're just like, they just don't have a spine, apparently.
That's only the undead. It's only those guys. It's only some of them.
You know what? Alonzo's Foal has a spine, okay?
Yeah, he does.
He has to walk.
Right.
He can't walk without a spine.
Well, some of them don't have it. I'm guessing. I'm guessing some of them don't.
A lot of guessing here. You and Sylvanas have a lot in common. A lot of guessing.
So one of the things that I thought was really cool about this whole thing and about this whole week, really, is that it wasn't really... I mean, we knew that the tree was going to happen. We didn't know exactly how it was going to happen, all that kind of stuff. We also know that the battle for Lordaeron or the battle for Undercity, depending on what faction you are, that was going to happen. And that is now out in-game, and we can talk about the in-game experience in a little bit. But we also, unbeknownst to us, unbeknownst to me anyway, we were surprised. Everybody was kind of surprised by this old soldier cinematic that came out as well. And so it's been kind of interesting to see Saurfang in all of these instances, in the novellas, in the cinematic, in the in-game stuff. In all of these places, Saurfang is going to play a pivotal role in all of this stuff. I think everybody can agree that with his honor of. He's trying to keep his honor intact and totally struggling with Sylvanas and what that means. And after the burning of the World Tree, he's going to give it all up. And this is where the cinematic takes over. And the cinematic was like mind-blowing.
It really was. It's
awesome.
Like, on top of being absolutely gorgeous, it was exactly what we needed at that moment because, after the whole tree burning thing, the community got kind of crazy, and I think this really helped it. And of course, not just with Saurfang sort of like, assuring this that the heart of the Horde, the true heart of the Horde is still beating, and since he's not cool with it, we don't have to be cool with it either. Like, we're not monsters. It's okay. But also we've got this new Horde poster boy, Zappy Boy, Zakan, the jungle troll, who is still completely in love with the Horde and still completely believes in it and believes in it so much that he's willing to go up against like his high overlord and be like, hey, don't give up because you're totally just wimping out right now.
I don't know if he's totally into the Horde. I don't know if Zappy
He says it's all we have.
Right.
It's all he has left to believe in, and he has to believe in Saurfang.
It's all he has left because his father is dead. And that's all that Saurfang has left because his son is dead. And so they have this moment where they kind of connect. I'm not so sure that Zappy Boy, by the way, who is fantastic in this whole thing, I'm not sure that he necessarily is super into the Horde, but it's all that they know. It's all that they have. It's what they have left. And it's the thing that they're holding on to so that they can live another day. That's kind of what I got out of it. It wasn't
kind of the definition of the Horde, though, isn't it?
I don't know.
It's where the outcasts go. It's where the races that weren't welcome go. And then, together they are united in their differences. That's the Horde. Like, Sylvanas isn't the Horde, like we're not defined by one war chief.
Just the war chief.
Obviously.
And now they seem to be divided in their divisions.
We are.
You're not defined by your war chief, but like I think all of this sounds really great, Thyst. It sounds really pretty, and kudos to that because I'll get roasted in the YouTube comments here for this.
Sure,
but there's a level of complacency in the Horde that is not the Horde. Sure, they're misfits, they're all this kind of stuff, but they're not people who sit back without a spine because they don't fit in or they don't like what's going on. Like that's why they joined the Horde, is because they were unwilling to assimilate. They were unwilling to join, to fit these molds. They have a different ideals. We can talk about the morality of different ideals. The World of Warcraft, the foundation of World of Warcraft is you have two sides that have very different philosophies towards living. They have very different philosophies toward how people should live and passion and kindness and what that looks like, and this moral ambiguity. And that's one of the beautiful stories, is like, sorry, orcs, you're not very good looking, but you can still have a heart, you can still have a soul, you can still have a moral compass kind of thing.
I'm sorry, you're not very good looking.
For all you orcs out there listening to this one, should have ran a Bell female, I guess. But besides that, anyways, I just don't love the idea of being, so in love with the Horde and yet so unwilling to do something with a tyrannical war chief, especially after what we just had with Garrosh.
Right.
And I can already see, so I'm going to YouTube comments. I can already see you, sir. Yes, I know they haven't told the whole story yet. The Horde can redeem themselves. All that stuff. I just hate logging into my Horde tunes and kind of wishing it was Alliance, because right now, not only like it's one thing to be like, oh, I don't like where we are right now. And it's another thing to be like, I have no control over where we are right now.
Right.
As a player.
Well, and as a it's frustrating and stuff like that, but it is emotional, and it is not a terrible, well, it's kind of a terrible place, but it's not, as far as like starting off a new narrative, that's kind of a cool place to be, because you don't know what's happening, and nobody knows what's happening, and that's part of kind of the interesting thing of this expansion, is we don't know what's going to be happening with Sylvanas. Or
Anduin, honestly.
We don't know if she's going to turn into Garrosh 2.0. We don't know, which is kind of weird, and I don't think that they would go down that same road anyway. But we don't know what's happening with that sort of thing, and so it's kind of an interesting place to be kind of questioning all of these things as we head into the beginning of a new X-Pack. So, do
you know what's really interesting to me, Pat? So Thyst, I need to apologize first. I came off really strong in that rebuttal. I love you. But I just want to make sure, are we good? No, just kidding. But the one thing that is really interesting to me about this story is the relationship between the heads of each factions and their closest advisors, right? So on one side, you have Sylvanas and Sourfang. On the other side, you have Anduin and Gen Greymane.
Right.
If Sourfang is like this, is this kind of tempering, okay, Sylvanas, come on down kind of thing. Like, this isn't, you don't represent the Horde right now. And like, he's very against a lot of what Sylvanas is doing. You got the other side where Anduin's like, let's pursue peace. Let's go. And yes, we can make the Horde look stupid doing it. But at the ultimate, like at the end of the day, like the peace is an achievable goal kind of thing. And then you have Gen Greymane going, no, let's fight, bro. Let's go. They broke my city down. And
yep.
And and you have this really bloodthirsty Gen Greymane. So I think it's really interesting to see as these war chiefs and kings clash here, as they've got these other very opposite viewpoints right next to them. I think it's very interesting, and I wonder where they're taking that story.
Well, and it's very interesting too, because of the decisions that. So one of the things was, one of the things about Sylvanas was, she said, "Hey, if we attack Darnassus, the alliance is going to become conflicted. All of the different leaders are going to be at each other's throats, trying to figure out what's going on, trying to save themselves, and we're going to win everything because they're going to be so all over the place that everybody's going to go back to their homeland, and the alliance is going to basically just fall apart on this one strike."
That's the cool thing about the novella is that Sylvanas explains her plan in a way that makes sense to Saurfang, and it makes sense to, your typical Horde player.
Right.
And it makes sense to, all of the troops that went to Darkshore. It's just at the very moment before they take Teldrassil, that's where she pulls the wool over everyone's eyes. Seems like she makes a rash decision and burns the tree down.
Right.
So.
Well, even Saurfang beforehand, though, knows that something is up, and he goes, but she's the war chief.
Right. Right.
And it's that kind of stuff where I'm like, nah. What war chief?
So as far as let's kind of continue with Saurfang for just a second. And I apologize if we're kind of all over the place here, guys, but this stuff
not very well organized, Lord.
This stuff is still super fresh, and so we are trying to make sense of it in a conversational tone, not necessarily taking it point by point. So if it seems a little squishy at times, this conversation, apologize.
Pat Krane at converttoraid.com. Great
that's
email.
Right.
Send
that's
it
right.
that way.
Yep. Saurfang. In the in-game stuff that just released today with the Battle for Lordaeron or the Battle for Undercity, and in the cinematic. In the cinematic, he was about to give everything up. He was about to give everything up because he believed that it was not honorable to burn the World Tree. And even though he came up with the plan to take Darnassus, the World Tree thing was not part of his plan. And so he felt very betrayed. And then you come to the Battle for Undercity, in his case, and you have Sylvanas, who basically toxes the entire place. And she just unleashes this green gas, and it's like, oh my God, this is so bad. How could you kill your own people? And that's where he basically loses it. And if you've played on the Horde side, you know this better than the people that play on the Alliance side through the in-game stuff that was released today. Because
I have a clarifying question for our listeners for a second. Sorry, I don't want to take you off.
Go ahead.
But Old Soldier, as far as I know, takes place after the burning of the World Tree and before the defense of Undercity.
Correct. So that's before Undercity. He is conflicted at best. And he is about to give up when Zappy Boy brings him back and says, why have you given up? And he's like, yeah, you're right. I should just go back and do this stuff. And then the Battle for Undercity happens, and Sylvanas just levels Undercity, essentially, so that nobody can use it. She just, just burns it down, essentially.
Completely infected with blight.
And that's where Saurfang is like, nope, I'm done. And if you've played on the Alliance side, you actually fight Saurfang through this in-game content, through this scenario. And he comes out, and he is without armor. I mean, I'm trying to remember, and I can't remember if he's
showing off those sexy shoulder days.
That's
over
right.
With his bow
That's
flex.
Right.
Yeah.
So, as I recall, and I could be wrong about that, I apologize. But he comes out to face the Alliance, and just before he's about to die, Anduin saves him and puts him in lockup. And on the Horde side, if you play in game, Saurfang leaves, and you don't know where he is. And then he and Sylvanas have it out a little bit. And you'll want to check it out on the Horde side if you want to see this. It's actually pretty good. I really liked it.
Here's the thing. If you don't have a Horde tune, by the way, and you're like, you know what? I really want to experience this story. $60. Boom. Done. Boost them. Get them in there.
Or you could just check out like Wowhead or something like that.
No.
That too.
The coward's way out. The Sylvanas way. Yeah. Just kind of slithered right through. Yeah.
They have it out, and it's kind of cool, and it's pretty telling, and you can tell that Bane is almost right with him as far as not liking what she is doing and not really approving of her ways.
Bane's pissed off.
And so it's pretty interesting to watch this kind of fallout happen and the division that's happening in the Horde. So you're starting to see it. Not everybody is spineless, John. Not everybody is complacent or whatever. I think that there's a lot of conflicted people, but Saurfang is most conflicted because he also has the most honor to lose.
Yeah, and I think...
Sorry, go ahead.
I think Saurfang sort of embodies how we're all feeling, you know? Like, we want to follow our war chief. We don't want another Gary on our hands. We don't want to, you know, rebel against yet another war chief, but at the same time, like, we don't necessarily want to take part in genocide for no reason. We don't necessarily want to start something we can't finish. And so I think, you know, with all of the controversy that had happened over the tree burning, it was just good to see Saurfang and to continue to see Saurfang in Old Soldier, in the stuff that came out today, and in the novella, because it centers around him. It's just good to see that, because, like, you know, the devs have been telling us, you know, like, the story's not over yet. It's just beginning. Don't lose heart. Like, obviously, we're not trying to make all the players go Alliance, you know, like, this is just the beginning.
But if you want to go Alliance, head over to CTR Guild over on Airy Peak, US. Sorry.
Sure.
Nice. So one thing I just wanted to add on that is my spinelessness, my spineless comment is not that the Horde is conflicted. Not by any stretch of the information. I'm not like, oh, they're spineless. Obviously, the Horde hate it. But the fact that they're unwilling to actually step up and try to make that change is what currently bothers me with the current mindset of the Horde. And I think it's definitely, at the very least, it is very, there's a lot of caveats, right? It's not just as simple as being like, no, Sylvanas, and then boom, Saurfang is like, you know, they're dueling here in the middle of Teldrassil or something like that.
The thing is, like, the tree burned, but Saurfang and none of the troops there knew that was going to happen. Then immediately afterwards, they advanced on Lordaeron. So there kind of wasn't a lot of time.
So they kind of did, but they kind of did it. Like, Saurfang always knew, right? Like, since we saw in, like, the first 20 pages of the novella that Saurfang knew that something else was up here. Something else was amiss. He was pretty confident.
He thought we were just going to take Teldrassil.
Right. No, he's like, I'm pretty sure that she's planning something else, but she's the war chief.
Right. I will
find the exact passage of where he questions Sylvanas, but then justifies it with, well, she's the war chief. She can keep secrets from...
Right, and it was
this. And that's where I go. Saurfang deviated from what I feel like the heart of the Horde is.
Well, and so I think I know what the part that you're talking about, and I think so. Saurfang was coming up with the plans to take Darnassus, essentially, and how to approach and how to do all of those different things, how to kind of work everything in there, try to make it happen, and there was a point where Tyrande was somewhere, and I can't remember exactly where. I think she was in Stormwind, and Saurfang was like, "Oh, now's the time to strike." And Sylvanas paused and was kind of waiting, and you could tell she was waiting for something, but you couldn't tell exactly what.
Page 25. No, he decided she wasn't lying about the importance of this objective, and if she had plans beyond the coming battle, well, she was war chief, was she not?
Right. And so it was that type of thing where it was like, well, you know, that's a little thing right now, but it ended up being a kind of a bigger thing as we kind of rolled on. So stuff happened. That's the important thing to note here, guys. Stuff happened.
Lok'Tar.
Yeah. Lok'Tar, Ogar. Question for you guys. Now that we have all of this stuff, and now that we've been talking about all of this stuff, how do you guys feel about in-game content versus out-of-game content? Do you feel like, I mean, I think with the novellas, it kind of makes sense because it's kind of like we didn't necessarily learn anything particularly new. I mean, it was more in-depth stuff for the most part, and we got to learn more about motivations and stuff like that, but you wouldn't have seen that in-game anyway. So that But what do you think about these novellas and the comics and the cinematics being out of game, and then you have the in-game stuff as well? Do you think that it's playing nicely with each other, or do you think that it might be conflicting for some players?
Go ahead, Thyst.
Well, as we can see, it's definitely conflicting.
Well, the in-game stuff is conflicting enough.
Yeah, that's true. The thing is, this is exactly what needs to happen. Everything that everybody is feeling right now, whether it's good or bad, is ultimately good for this game. Sure. I think, like, we have never, ever been so upset or excited about any expansion before. I think that the WoW team is doing a brilliant job of just sort of filling IRL and in-game with so much intrigue, so much misplaced anger, passion, confusion, he said, she said. Since there are like two solid sides on this, like it's making people like get angry with each other. I'm like, yeah, there's some negativity. There's some negative things that are happening. We saw that last week, obviously,
and isn't that the point?
And isn't that the point? This is World of Warcraft. This is red versus blue.
Right.
This is not person versus person. This is not player versus dev. No, this is a game where we play against each other to any degree that you like, pretty much. Because you can turn off war mode, it's fine. But I
not on my horde tune. I can't, because then we can't hang out.
Exactly, we'll get phased. But I have always had an overabundance of faction pride, always, and now I can't even tell you. Like, it's amazing, and just it hurt last week when people were questioning the horde, but it's getting a lot better. I think, in my opinion, Horde and Alliance right now are a little, closer to 50-50 with what happened today. So that's good. But the thing is, like, emotions are running high and excitement is running high, and it's bringing people back to WoW, and it's making people ridiculously emotionally excited to play WoW. And that's ultimately what I want. Sure. I want that.
Sure.
And gosh, this is going to be one heck of an expansion.
So, John, let me ask you this. As far as it goes for all of the different content that there is, because we have in-game content, and then we have the cinematics, and then we have all that other stuff. Do you think that number one, is it working for you? Is all of the because we got a crap ton basically dropped on us this week, which we kind of have to sort out because we do this show and other shows, right? But are you finding that it's okay to have the in-game versus the novellas out there, or do you think that some players are going to be like, well, I don't get it, or they won't get it?
You know what I mean? World of Warcraft developers, if you're listening, 180 pages, 24 hours before a convert to raid. Yeah, not my favorite execution.
Not cool.
If I'm being honest.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, be considerate of our show, damn it.
Come on.
Number one.
Friday. Yes. Let's go. Give us the weekend, please. But so besides that, I think they've done something really cool and really intentional. Someone who's really passionate about content and storytelling. That's been my last year of my life, is just creating content nonstop and finding the best avenues to do that. And something I really like is you'll notice in the game, you get the macro version of everything, right? You kind of get this really, I wouldn't say a broad overview, because it gets quite detailed, as long as you're not just clicking accept and moving on to the next quest, and then complete, and then accept and moving on to the next quest.
What's wrong with that? Never read quest text.
No. Right? Yeah. Talking head is here. X. So as long as you're not doing that, you should have a really well understanding of the broad strokes of the story, right? But for me, I'm a lore nerd. One thing I love about Overwatch is that I don't have to always, if I'm not at my computer, I can still be a part of the world and get engrossed in it. And I love this aspect of it, is for players who maybe being a top tier raider or an amazing PvP player isn't really their thing with World of Warcraft, but they love the lore. There's this avenue for them to go deep and to really know and understand the what motivates the Alliance characters, what motivates the Horde characters, and what's motivating the expansion. And it kind of gives them a way of like, if you have top tier PvPers, PvEers, you've got top tier gold makers, farmers, and then you've got top tier lore nerds. Like, it gives me an opportunity to be a lore nerd a little bit. I love it. I think they've done a great job. I don't know if I totally 100% love having a full Before the Storm book and then 180 pages released.
Sure.
About 90 for each faction. And then I think they might have hit a little bit on the written content a little too heavily. But overall, I love it. What keeps people playing a game isn't always just the game. It's the story. And if you find ways to make people want to go back into that game, like an amazing novella or an amazing cinematic with Zappy Boy, like all the more power to him. I wouldn't say it was perfectly executed, but a solid 9.5 out of 10 for sure.
Cool. All right. So I understand that we have been talking about this for quite some time. And I want to make sure that you guys, if you have any particular points that you wanted to bring out that you don't think you were able to bring out during our conversation here, if you want to bring those out now, I want to invite that. So, Thyst, you got anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so. Okay. I just, if anyone is struggling with their Horde loyalty, just hang in there. Story's not over. I promise it's going to be fine.
The story is beginning. So, I mean, that's
beginning of the story.
That's definitely something to consider. John, do you have any other points or anything you wanted to bring up?
Well, contrary to this, yes, hang in there, but like be responsibly vocal about it. If you think that the Horde is better well represented in certain ways, like I think I know a lot of people who work at Blizzard, they'd love to know that, and I wouldn't be the first time where they wouldn't go, we thought this was a really cool idea and this wasn't. I'm really conflicted as a Horde player. I'm not faction switching yet. I have the page bookmarked, but besides that, there's a level of the Horde isn't doing what I want, and now I'm gonna switch. Sure. Like, grow up, you're a baby. There's another thing to go be like, man, I fell in love with the Horde with these reasons, and I hate that I feel like those reasons aren't there anymore. And I think they aren't there.
Yeah. Did you hear about the silent protest on Twitter? So there was a hashtag.
The no shoulders.
Yeah, it was the hashtag. It was no honor, no pauldrons, where people were taking selfies without shoulder pads because during the cinematic, that's what Sourfang does. He takes off his gear, right? He takes off his little neck thing. I don't know what you call it. The collar, I don't know. And he takes off his pauldrons and he goes down and he's going to give himself up to the Alliance or fight the Alliance or something with the Alliance and hopefully die an honorable death. But so because he did he removed his shoulder pads, then people were doing that in game and then hashtagging that. And it kind of became a thing.
I love that.
I thought it was kind of cool.
That night, like, it came out super late because it was being unveiled at China Joy, and it was like 9:30 where I am. And, it was exactly what we needed. It was so good. It felt so good. And just like everybody sort of rallying around Sourfang like that made me feel really happy and gave me lots of hope.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Well, I didn't take off my shoulders because I have really good transmog.
I know, a little bit right here. So that's the thing I love about the Horde, though. Like, in the sense that for a reason, I feel like as someone who has played Alliance and been on Airy Peak, if Varian has made some really controversial decisions, and it's kind of like, for the Alliance. The thing I love about the Horde and the Horde players and like the mentality of a lot of my friends who are very passionately Horde is if they don't like something, they're not only willing to speak out about it, they're willing to act on it. And I'm not saying like they're going to cancel their subscription and they're going to Guild Wars kind of thing. But I mean that, they're like, man, I'm like, I don't love this. Hey, developers, here's why I don't love this. They say it in a very loving and compassionate way with a level of trying to understand the amount of stress and planning that goes out in there. See what I did there? No death threats, no weird things. Don't be a weirdo. But they're willing to speak up, and they're willing to say that's not what I signed up for. When I became Horde, it wasn't to follow a war chief blindly or to say things bad about the war chief behind their back and go along with the story. It was me, if I were a character in the World of Warcraft and I had Twitter in the World of Warcraft, I would go to Twitter, man, here's what I don't really like about this story. And I think that's okay. And I honestly, there's a part of me that believes that Blizzard wants that. They want their players to speak out and be really passionate about their characters, barring some very specific types of language and types of statements. But and
making
Thyst
sure that
I fundamentally, like, I don't want to say we disagree. She's just more patient than I am.
Right.
And so, but for me, I'm like, okay, I'll wait it out. I'm not changing yet. I might have to change away from my Shadow Priest, but besides that, I'm not changing over to the Alliance yet.
Sure.
It's just because we both love the Horde. We both want them to succeed. This is like, I believe in the writers and the developers and the characters placed in the story to redeem the Horde. And for me, I'm like, part of my way of being a part of that is being like, no, I don't like that. Sourfang, put on those pauldrons, grab a spine, let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So I was gonna do a thing where we were gonna we were gonna do a time walking thing. I don't know if I should do that now, because we went really long. Because we went really long.
Really short. I can be really short.
Went really long now.
Do it, Pat. Do it, please.
We'll do it. Okay, so we'll do a little time walking deal. Because I couldn't come up with the top 10 because I had all of these things to read, plus I had a block party. Plus I had a block party to go to.
Yeah, guys,
and I had to spend an hour and a half to pick out this shirt.
I spent $80 on this shirt. I'm going the full amount of that block party, baby.
To go to my block party, I had to spend an hour and a half to pick out this shirt.
Good choice, Pat.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I will do a little song for you guys to kind of cleanse the palate from all of the story stuff that we've been talking about, and move on into the other games. And I think that this one is very fitting for a couple of different reasons. But number one is when I'm playing my druid these days, I am not tanking, I am not healing, I am going through the scenarios, and I'm playing one of the other things, either feral or balance. And I made up the song. I don't know when it was. It was a while ago. It was Mists, maybe during Mists.
Oh wow, that was a while ago.
Yeah. Was it Mists or was it? No, it was Cataclysm. I don't know when it was. It was forever ago. And so some of the spells may be wrong, but this is a song about me playing Boomkin. So here we go. If it plays. Nope, it's not going to play. Hold on. It's going to play. It's going to play. It'll be fine. Here we go. All right, boys, I am no longer your combat log. No, I have turned over a new leaf. I never knew that a druid like me could take a break from resto and stop healing and switch to balance. From Molten Core to Naxxramas, Oldawar to Dragon Soul, and then the Siege of Orgrimmar. They know me though, cause I be putting in work. Oh, I still have rebirth, it's just that now I'm a bird, not a resto nerd. No, I'm gonna pound bosses down. Some say my deeps is lacking, but hear my thunder cracking. Yeah, you know I'm new on the scene, but it's alright. And I know you know I see you smiling at me, but it's alright. Well, here come the ready or not battle chicken, shut your mouth. Here come the ready or not, how you like me now? Here come the So that was that song.
Oh man, I love that so much.
It's a good one. I like that one as well. And from that, we will go on into maybe some Hearthstone because it makes sense.
Well met.
Let's talk a little bit of Hearthstone because...
Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah, because it's Boomsday. So, of course, I played it on purpose. Of course I did.
Totally on purpose? You didn't just randomly choose that?
No, I chose that and I went, oh, that would be nice. That would be fitting.
Oh, okay.
That'd be so fitting. Because it's Boomsday. The Boomsday project is not live. I have received my cards. You get 3 bonus packs just for logging in, just for being a part of the thing. So you get 3 packs right away. You also get 1 legendary card, I think, for free.
Thanks, Blizz.
Thanks, Blizz. I haven't played it. I don't know much about it. I got my cards, and then I'm like, I gotta get into Battle for Lordaeron. So
just Blizz problems, right?
Yep. The cool thing is that this weekend there's a big Hearthstone tournament in Germany, big HCT thing in Germany, and so we get to see what these cards are like, kind of live-ish almost, because
I'm excited for that.
Because they have like 4 days to like, or actually they don't. They have less than 4 days. It's like a few days until game time, but they have to have their decks already done. So,
ooh.
Yeah, they don't have much time to
stress. Oh my goodness! And that's like 135 new cards, right?
A bunch of new cards. They did an invitational where they invited all of these pro gamers, pro Hearthstone guys to kind of play with these decks and try to do it earlier in the week.
So cool.
And it looks like a lot of fun. I know the cinematics and the videos and stuff like that have been great.
Science.
Right, science. Dave Kozak has done a phenomenal job.
It'll be interesting to see like how this shakes out. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a success. I mean, it already looks amazing and quirky and perfect for Hearthstone because it is amazing and quirky. But this is the first expansion without Ben Brode, is it not?
As far as I know.
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, I'm sure he had something to do with it, but like he's not going to be here to oversee it. So I wonder if that's, I mean, it probably won't have a huge impact, but it's got to have some kind of impact, right?
Because the last expansion was Witchwood, and I think that he was in on that one.
Yeah, I remember him in the woods.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Dave.
Of course. And now it's just Dave out there explaining things, and he's got his intern lab partner. I don't know.
Well, you got to have the interns.
Right, exactly. You need the interns. So I'm going to be checking in with Jocelyn Moffat next week for Battlenet Sports to see exactly how things are shaking out. I'm sure that we'll have a lot more playtime in the meantime to try to figure out all of the different things that happen with the new expansion and stuff like that. And John, you're still not playing Hearthstone, right?
You know, I paid my Hearthstone dues.
I'm not saying you didn't. I'm
still recuperating.
Right.
I have like a Hearthstone credit card, I think, from my well-met days.
Right.
And,
of course.
You know,
that's
just still trying to.
That's totally fine.
I live through Hearthstone through well-met. It's still going. There's such amazing players doing that podcast.
Yep.
So I still live through them. But I'm so glad I don't have to spend $250, $300 on an expansion.
You don't have to if you just play all the damn quests all the time. Because I got, and of course I'm not getting like 120 packs or anything like that. I just got like 35.
Go big or go home, Pat.
I just got like 35, just based off of the quests that I did from the Witchwood, and.
Man,
so I mean,
spent
it's
so
okay.
much money on. I just hated going into an expansion, doing a Hearthstone podcast, and not having every single card I needed.
Yuck.
Yeah,
that's a little gross.
Now you're like, what?
I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
I'm saying like the collective view.
Right.
You're happy that World of Warcraft is just solid $10 a month or whatever it is, $13 a month, and now you get all the way through Legion, right? So that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys talked about that last week, but you're like, I don't need to spend all that money anymore.
Right.
But I hope if you are a Hearthstone player, I hope you're enjoying it. I'll be watching your streams. Tweet me your streams. I'd love to watch you.
There you go. And
live through you.
And with that, I'm actually going to turn it into kind of a little bit of sports talk, a little bit of Battlenet sports talk, so that we can kind of cover some of these other things. First, I want to talk about. Let's talk about Contenders real quick.
Rubbish.
No, it's cool. It's Contenders. It's Overwatch. John, since you're a big part of the Contenders scene now, could you give us kind of the brief on what's happening in Contenders right now, and is there anybody that you're watching?
Oh, man. So I am definitely a little bit out of the loop on NA and EU. I'm sure you can find amazing podcasts and all that stuff about the NA and EU scene. I've been dedicating 30 plus hours a week to the South America and Chinese team because I'm hosting it, as I discussed earlier, and I'm plugging again now, and you didn't even know it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say, so the primary regions, it's pretty easy to know who's good, who's maybe not, who to follow, who not to. But there's some really amazing teams in the China and South America regions. So the playoffs are all starting now. China and South America are starting this weekend, but I believe North America and EU have already started, Korea as well. Which are kind of like the big three, and then right behind those are South America and EU or China.
Okay.
In China, Lucky Future Zenith, Moss 7 Club, such cool teams. Lucky Future Zenith is just so good. Moss 7 Club, though, like if you watch them, they run the most unorthodox strats. It's like when you think that they're, when you play mystery heroes in Overwatch, and the other team always has better mystery heroes than you.
Always.
That's Moss 7 Club.
It always happens to me.
That's basically, they're running really obscure Bastion compositions on like Volskaya attack. It's just really amazing. And Lucky Future Zenith is just so good. And then on the South America side, my favorite team to watch right now is, oh my God, their name. They have a freaking Isurus. Thank you. Thanks, Thyst. I saw you mouth Isurus. I wouldn't have gotten that without you. Isurus Gaming, incredible team. Didn't drop a map the whole Contenders regular season, except for a match that they had to forfeit because they couldn't field 6 players. Oof. So they're so good, but they're kind of underrated right now because people look and they're like, well, they're 4-1, and like, yeah, they had to forfeit that one. Otherwise, they haven't lost a map. So.
All right.
Really cool. Exciting stuff. Make sure to follow that. Twitch.tv/Overwatch Contenders, Twitch.tv/BroadcastGG, and Twitch.tv/ContendersKR.
Okay.
I believe are the 3 different streams where you can get all that.
Also happening in Overwatch, just in general, is Summer Games. It's more games. It's more games. So Summer Games.
Show your summer skin. Let's go.
So, wow. That sounded provocative.
You know what
Let's just say it that way.
It was provocative.
Just say it that way. Sounded provocative. Or evocative. I'm not sure which. So Summer Games start in a couple of days on Thursday, so August 9th. It's happening, so now you can get together and do Summer Games stuff.
It's going to be in Busan, South Korea this time. Last year it was in Sydney. This time it's in Korea. And that's where Diva is from, so I'm really hoping for some more Diva lore.
Yes. We shall see. And, of course, a bunch of new skins with that. All the Summer Games skins, and as you alluded to, John, evocatively, or whatever.
That sexy Cabana Anna. What's going on, Grandma?
Cabana Anna.
Cabana Anna.
I don't know.
Cabana Anna.
Right. Cabana Anna. So all of that stuff is going to be live in just a couple of days. So that's pretty cool. And then one other sports thing, and that is in the world of StarCraft 2.
I can dig that.
Yes. So there was a big thing, and it's called GSL versus the world, where GSL, which is the Korean StarCraft League, essentially goes up against everybody else. Koreans are known to be very, very dominating in the world of StarCraft 2. And so,
esports in general.
And esports in general and all that kind of stuff.
Overwatch and World of Warcraft. And,
And there has been this guy that has been number one pretty much all season long. He's been winning left and right. And his name is Cyril, and he's from Finland. And I think the analysis was, well, he's gonna obviously he's gonna lose, or at least he's gonna have a really bad time in GSL versus the world. He did not have a bad time.
No, he did not.
He did not have a bad time at all. He actually won GSL versus the world. He lost the first couple of games, but he came back. So it was kind of like this really great story as he's going for the big win and won 4-3 versus Stats. And so he had to go through everybody to win, and he has proven 7, right? Yeah, he has proven himself to be the number one dude that he is so far. Obviously, he has to. Wow. Obviously, he still has to win BlizzCon.
Maybe he will.
Well, he's won several. He's won several of the seats so far. I mean, like if you could win more than one seat, he's done that. I think he's won 3 of the WCS seats, or won the tourneys that were supposed to be for seats. So now we're talking about points, and we're talking about all that other stuff. So he's just. I
lost to a level 90 disc priest in a duel the other day, and here's this guy.
Right, he's just been dominating. Like this year, things have clicked for him, and it's kind of cool when you see that from players, and it doesn't happen. It doesn't seem to happen a lot where you just get one player that just goes, nope, you know what? I got this. And they just turn it on and they're just good to go for the entire year.
Oh, yeah. I love players like that, though.
It's awesome. It's pretty awesome. So there. Yes. And Alessandro in chat says he's won 3 of the 4. The 4th is played next month. And so, yeah. So he's won 3 out of the 4 WCS tourneys that are supposed to get you to BlizzCon. Woo! So he's in there 3 times, I'm guessing. I think that's the way that it works. Like, he can lose like 6 times in BlizzCon and still win. No, 5 times. Sorry. That's not true. That's not true.
It's not confusing at all.
That's not true at all.
Somebody in a recent iTunes review of Lagging Balls said that Thorne and I don't have the IQs to play StarCraft. Apparently, I don't have the IQ to keep up with esports either. It's all very exciting.
So I know that I don't have the IQ to play StarCraft 2, especially on a competitive level, let alone Overwatch on a competitive level, let alone anything on a competitive level anymore. But I do enjoy it.
I mean, competitively, that shirt is great. Would probably win in a Hawaiian shirt competition,
and it might win in a Grillmaster 76 cook-off. It could win in that as well.
Are you going to enter the BlizzCon cosplay contest, Pat?
Yeah, I'm going to do that because we won't have the CTR party, so I'll join in on the cosplay contest.
Yeah, that's where that time's going to go, huh?
That's right. Yeah. That's where it's going to go.
Do that. Just make sure we're really short shorts.
Right. I will make sure to do that, definitely.
Thank you.
And then walk around the Dark Moon Fair creepily, ask people for $5, and then take a picture.
You could do that anyway.
That sounds pretty great. All right, we're going to get out of here. But before we do, let's chat with the guys, make sure we know what's coming up with them and where we can find them on a regular basis. Johnny, why don't you go first?
Sorry, the music, I can't hear you super well.
Oh, sorry.
But, so for me, what's coming up next? Contenders playoffs, twitch.tv/broadcastgg and twitch.tv/Overwatch Contenders is where you can find that. Just follow me on Twitter at KickTripod so you can kind of see where that's going to be because it's still floating around a little bit. Pat, thanks for having me back. It's been far too long. I really enjoyed it. Even if it's just me versus Twitch chat the whole time, I'm all right. I'll see you in the YouTube comments tomorrow. We'll go to battle as well.
Yep. That's all going to be a thing. And Thyst, how about you, buddy?
Hi, buddy. Hey, what's up? Well, Lagging Balls just celebrated its 150th episode.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we're having a massive giveaway contest. So just check out our social media or listen to the 150th episode to figure out how to win. We've got some amazing prizes. We've got codes. We've got actual things we will send you. It's going to be great. So check out laggingballs.com for that.
All righty then. And I'm going to bail out of that music. And then I'm going to play this music. All right. And just a quick reminder, no sports tomorrow. No Battlenet. Oh, sorry. There's no Battlenet news on Tuesday next week. We will be back on Wednesday to talk about all of the things that we experienced as we kick off the new expansion. Yay! But for now, you can join the conversation we're having anytime, and please do. I know that we talked about a lot of different stuff. Feel free to John's expecting lots of YouTube comments.
Whoa, I thought John's expecting
lots of YouTube comments.
Congratulations.
His name is Little Sourfang.
Right. And make sure to join the Bazooka Gobbo Nation by heading over to converttoraid.com. That's where we have all the things. We have our downloads, we have our audio, we have our video, we have the guild stuff if you're interested in that stuff. We have the Convert to Raid podcast network, which features these monkeys shows over here, and then also everybody that's a part of Battlenet Sports and Battlenet News. And we have more coming soon, more content and stuff in the works. We're at the beginning stages of that, though, so I probably shouldn't tease too much. So head over to converttoraid.com and check it all out. Convert to Raid is produced and distributed by Signals Media, and that is going to do it for the show. Thyst, John, thank you very much for being a part of this. It's been a lot of fun. Twitch chat, as always, you've been talking up a storm. And it's always weird and wonderful.
Way to use that keyboard, guys.
And for all you guys at home, at work, in the car, wherever you are, thank you so much for picking us up. We really do enjoy it. And thanks for joining us every single week. And I am so looking forward to next week, guys. I am so looking forward to next week, I can't even tell you.
Oh, me too.
It's coming! It's coming! Battle for Azeroth!
I called out of work. Okay.
All right. For all the guys at Convert to Raid, we will see you sometime after Battle for Azeroth begins. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.